I'm going to be reading the second commandment from Exodus 20, verse 4 through verse 6. You must not make for yourselves any idols. Do not make something that looks like anything in the sky above, or in the land below, or in the water below the land. You must not worship or serve any idol. This is because I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God. If a person may sin against me and hate me, I will punish his children, even his grandchildren and his great-grandchildren. But I will be very kind to thousands who love me and obey my commands. There's two components in this commandment. One is a physical component, and that is an idol. It's an object. And the other is a spiritual component, and that is demonic possession and oppression. I want to be very clear, as God is being clear, that an idol is an object. It's not conceptual. I know a lot of churches and religions teach that idols and idolatry can be conceptual, like you idolize your work, or you idolize a sport that you play, or you idolize reading books. Those kind of things that take you away from your praise and worship of God. It's not idolatry. It's not an object. Those are personal distractions that we have and obsessions with activities and concepts here on earth, but they are not what God is talking about when he talks about idols. He is literally talking about statues and objects that people bring food to and pray to, so forth. Without hurting anyone's feelings, I really want to make this very clear that you have to get a sense of what's going on here yourself. People burn incense to a statue or an idol of some kind. It is literally a man-made object that cannot smell the incense. I guess the idea that nobody wants to verbalize is that people think that a man or a woman makes an object and that the spirit or God that they're praying to is somehow inside that and using a statue's nose to smell incense. The same thing with food or flowers or pictures or whatever people put around or in front of an idol. Those aren't real eyes. They can't see. They're not real mouths. None of the food goes away when you put it in front of them. It just sits there because it's not a real thing that can eat. The confusion on this doesn't come from the religion itself. It's evil. People are being driven away from their true worship and their true calling of their Creator. Satan knows what he's doing when he puts this in people's minds. When God says he's a jealous God, that means he cares for you. He's not being selfish. If you've ever been jealous of a boyfriend or a girlfriend or another person, it's because you value that person and you want that person's attention. Out of 8+ billion people that are alive right now when I'm speaking, why would God care about 1 or 2 people? Try to create a human being. Try to see how much it is to value and love that spirit and that soul and that body in whatever shape they're in. God did that. God does that. That's why. Because you're that important and you're that valuable. Satan knows that. That's why he wants to destroy you by distracting you. And one person means a lot. It's an important consideration because when you love God and you serve God, then you can teach other people to do that. You are now God's representative simply because of your behavior. Even if you're an atheist or an agnostic or whatever, it's better that you have no feelings towards Satan and you don't worship an idol than it is for God to try to get that stuff out of your heart and mind and come back to him. There's a lot of reasons why idolatry is a very, very bad thing. That transference can go the other way. When you start worshiping idols and you turn against God and you hate God, you know who he is, but instead you go and make a sacrifice to something that some person made, even you yourself made. Now that evil spirit becomes a part of your life, and now you're thinking about what will that object give me if I give them a glass of orange juice or whatever. Then you start infecting your other family members with that evil. That evil presence grows and spreads. That's what evil does. It's not just in the movies. It's a real thing. And look at the way the world is going. Think about it. And that's why those people are being threatened in the second commandment, because there was no exorcism. Killing the body was the only way to keep those evil spirits from moving around and messing up an entire family and community. There are two components in the second commandment. Don't be confused about what idolatry is. Make sure that you don't clutter your thinking up with that, because what's going to happen when you start imagining what idolatry is compared to what God specifies idolatry to be, then you start wondering, do I idolize watching the news or whatever? And it just goes on and on and on, all the different activities. You think, well, am I spending too much time doing this or that? Keep it simple.